that one. But how this place went down is that when the community first started in 93 or 94, a group of 10 of Mike's workers went to him and said, "Hey, can we get some land in the community?" And first Mike's like, "Who the fuck are you guys?" But then he's like, "Oh yeah, you're my crew." And he said, yeah, you guys just take that back corner and figure it out. So, which was very generous of him. And so he set up also a very generous payment plan where we put down. Back then, you bought on the square footage of the house. You weren't buying lots, right? You guys all know that. We talked about that some. So basically, with $100 down. We give Mike $100. We get on our little payment plan, $100 a month, until we paid off our agreed amount, which wasn't very much. We were allowed to start building our houses. So 10 of us got together, and the idea is that we'd all start together. And it wasn't really the idea to help each other out necessarily, but that we'd all be building together and kind of be in the same situation. And 5 of us started doing it pretty much right away. We got permits, although we never got inspections or anything. But so $100 down, and back then a permit was cheap, a couple $100. So like $300, I was able to come out here and start building a house. And Sarah, my wife, started with me. And so the idea was we had been living at Reach and kind of squatting and camping, and then we got a house on the Raven Road, sort of near the castle, and rented it for a winter, and we're paying not much rent, like $350 a month, but regardless, the house was a total piece. It was cold. I spent the whole winter just cutting wood. We didn't have running water anyway, and so that spring I was like, hey, well, why don't we just build a house and take that money and buy materials. So that's exactly what we did. We came out here, cut the fence, drove in, got bitched out for that, so we had to go repair the fence because that wasn't where the road was. You probably don't remember that. And established the right road and started driving out here, and then we just basically, me and a few of my neighbors, just set up camp, and we just camped out and built the house. And the idea was, instead of paying rent, $500 a month or whatever, we'll just put that into materials and build a house with that. And so that's basically how it went down. And then, so I was telling Sarah, oh yeah, this will probably take us a year or something to get this thing together. Having worked on the cruise, I was like, a year's a lot of time, Of course, this is all after work, right? We're still working and everything. So we're trying to put in 20 hours a week on this. Which, 2 big days on the weekend, a few hours after work here and there. We were 20 hours a week for a long time. But it turns out it took for sure more than a year. And as a matter of fact, we worked on it, the first part of it, for about 5 years. And living here the whole time. But, over that 5-year period, we were able to drop like 30 grand into it. And we got pretty much this space and that bedroom and the bathroom in that 5 years for between 30 and 40 grand. We got it to pretty much what you see right now. I mean, little improvements or whatever, but it was basically to this level minus all the cracks in the walls and shit like that. So it did work. Now, it wasn't without issues and breakups and stuff and along the line. But it is doable, and I know a lot of you guys have asked about it, and you all, some of you want to build your own homes or whatever, and I mean, you can do it. I figured out the amount of hours I had into it, and it was like something,
So it's still
like 5,000 hours, of labor, literally, in this house. And we did like 98% of it with just us. We hired, the twins helped us for a few days with the Adobe, and it actually did look righteous when it was 10 years or 12 years ago. And a little help here and there. and then we did add on the two-story part of the building to try to get another bedroom and more storage and a place for a washer and stuff like that. But I will never add on to this house again. And honestly, in the beginning, like in the drawings, I was going to get them out and show you guys, but either way, it was like it was just this U. And I took it in to Mike, and we actually I did just like a floor plan, a section, and bare bones, and then I just gave it to everybody else in the original 10, and then Mike was, for some reason, willing to stamp those, and that's probably why he lost his license. but so Mike really made it, gave us this big foothold, and I was very lucky to just kind of happen to be there when that was happening. But really, the beginning part was was really just this U. I mean, that is, and then we added on, and that's sort of when it gets strange then. So, in hindsight, people, what would I do different? Well, I probably would have just built a 3U earthship. Had I known what was going to happen, that I knew that I was going to be here, and I mean, whatever, I was 24, and I mean, whatever, I was just trying to build a shelter. But having some vision beyond that, because you may end up staying where you start if you're 24 or whatever, or maybe not. But either way, that's probably what I would have done differently. So I ended up just kind of adding rooms like a homesteader would or something. Just people would expand their houses as their family grew. Well, that's exactly what we did, and maybe not in the most sensible way, but in a way that ended up working for us, and the house still functions pretty well. It's nothing like the global.
Phill, that makes it a home, not a house.
Yeah.
Well, it does, and I mean, and the other aspect is, we did live here, so you're literally looking at it, after margaritas and a joint, or whatever you guys you start to. The design can be pretty, it can suit you, and it can really evolve in a slow way, which maybe sometimes creates even a nicer, end result. Sort of a design build thing. Yeah, it's not as generic. It's also kind of rolling with your mistakes. I mean, how many mistakes did I make on this house? Everyone you can imagine. At one point I had to tear off my roof and redo it, and that was just a hard thing to admit to oneself. And I told Sarah for probably, I never cleaned up the Vega. I'm like, oh yeah, it's condensation. I kept saying this for years. Oh, that's condensation. And finally I'm like, no, the roof is leaking in 5 different places. It's not condensation. So admitting defeat and just being able to, who do you have to blame? Yourself. You just gotta. I mean, it's humbling for sure, and you just gotta be dealing with your own mistakes. It's kind of fun.
Sorry.
But maybe not when you decide, okay, it's time to do it, and it's like a rainy spring or whatever, which is kind of when I end up doing it. But regardless, it was a huge learning experience. All those mistakes. I mean, you think about them every day when you're on the site or whatever. You're like, okay, well, I won't make that mistake again. I mean, it's a not that we haven't made mistakes on clients' buildings, but we don't need one. But it's I wired it myself. It's like hooking up little things, hooking up a light with 3 switches. That was honestly, I think when we got back from the BC build, the last one, Musketi, I finally had a moment of clarity where I understood it. And it never worked here for that long. The switches never really worked. And then I finally thought it through and figured it out, and boom, it fixed it in 2 minutes. But it's that kind of thing. And I guess there wasn't a lot of reference when we were building. We couldn't go online. How do you wire a 3-way switch? Which is an incredible tool now. And would have been for sure handy. But we. I don't want to go on and on with it. We tried to save money everywhere we could. for the Vigas, for example, Sarah had this crappy Volkswagen Bug that was like running on one cylinder, so we towed it to town behind my crappy truck, and then she started it, and we drove it into Levi Cohen, who used to have a junkyard south of town. We drove it into his yard, and he had some old ragtag-looking Vigas, and we made a deal to trade the car for the Vigas. So we got...
How many Vigas?
So I think we got 5 or 6 out of it.
One car?
One car. Like, wait a minute. So we're like, yeah, we scored, okay, great. Of course, well, they were like, well, how the hell do we even get these back out there? All we got is my little Toyota. So anyway, we had to find somewhere the trailer, this, that. We get them out here. I'm peeling them. I'm kind of cutting them down to size. Well, 2 of them were fucking rotten. I mean, worthless. So he got us too. And that's how Taos works, as I'm sure Mike knows.
That's how the Lord.
Right. So anyway, and then to save money, also, like, this doesn't sound like anything to Mike, but we also elected not to get our Vigas peeled because we ended up having to buy 3 or 4, and so he was like, oh, well, it's $2 a foot extra to peel, so well, we'll peel them, well, lo and behold, it takes actually a little time to peel a Viga, so, but things like that, okay, well, I say $40, but then, I was getting paid, and this was a good wage then, I was getting paid like $8 an hour when I started this house, so, I didn't have, like, I'm going to save that $40 for sure. I also didn't buy a mixer, which I'm sure I've told you guys. So, I mixed everything by hand, and I didn't even want to pop for a hoe. A hoe costs a mixing hoe costs $50.
Wants to pop a hoe.
Yeah, those big ones, those nice ones, they are $50 or $60, but I had a $4 shovel, so it was that kind of mindset, like I'm going to spend that $50 on 5 bags of cement, and then I can work the whole weekend, and it was that kind of. Maybe it was stupid to be that stubborn about it, but it was just a financial thing. But the point is that you don't have to have a bunch of money, or and then the other thing about building it yourself is what you do have is time. If you're not going to take out a loan, we didn't take out a loan, although I mentioned that, so it was built out of pocket. So, but you do have time. I didn't realize how much time, but you can source stuff. Like you can take the time to source cheap material. For example, my ISO insulation, I just happened to be near the point, and then actually once again the company was getting and Peter, I think, for his mother's house was getting one of the owners of the brewery was getting a big semi truck of ISO 4-inch, but they were all seconds. Like they were rejects that didn't meet our, it was minor difference, and they were like half the price, and so that was huge. I don't know if we can still get those, but things like that. Like the Viga deal, the insulation deal was huge. Using scrap wood, like I used to have a tarp tent thing right here with a bunch of wood from wherever, and then I ended up using like all the wood. I made like a wood temporary floor in it, and it was a pretty lame little shack. But I ended up using like the same wood, for a lot of these kitchen cabinets, stuff like that. Like just being like, sure, it's not like easy to work with or whatever, and it takes a lot more time, and you have to have someplace to store this stuff, which we just stored it out here. But it's doable, and this house is, you're looking at seriously like, and of course we're talking 10 plus years ago, but this is like a $40 or under a square foot building right here, which is, and that's on the high end really. This place is. We actually ended up getting a loan to get the house next door. We're going to look at that next, and they appraised it, and they said it was 2,000 square feet. And I know I don't have $80,000 in this thing, so this may be more like a $35 or $33 square foot effort or something like that. So it's you can, and that's like achievable. Like all of us here could probably think about. Okay, it's the time thing and the commitment thing. You're really going to be able to 5,000 hours. you know, I didn't go. I never left house. You know, it was 20 hours a week, every week. You know, I was getting 1,000 hours a year, 5 years, 5,000 hours. That might be on the low end, really. But anyway, then we had kids, and then I started adding on. And I mean, I did. You should go up and look at Jenna's room. I just did finish it, like over the winter. You know, so we're still now. I want to redo all my interior plaster. I want to add where we came in there. I want to add an airlock greenhouse addition for sure this summer to help my bathroom, which is kind of a shit up design because it doesn't have much gain. And then I built that addition kind of in front of it, so I need to add a little greenhouse out there. So it's constantly, but I mean, that would be it. I'm not add on again. But I will never add on another bedroom or anything. Seriously, it is like, no. You know, I'm sick of all these little roofs and trying to catch water off of all of them. I mean,
The detail's the reason why you're not doing it?
I just don't want to.
Just in general? Or you're like, fuck it? Or is there
Well,
like a bigger
no,
reason?
just like, I don't need another bedroom, really. You know, that's what I would be adding on. And I don't need it. Just with the age of my kids and stuff, it's like, and I have this house over here that eventually I'll get thrown into, probably. Or maybe the kids will. That was the thought. But anyway, yeah, so, yeah, owner builder is, it's just like commitment, really. If you're going to do it yourself all the way. And it would be for any, you know what I mean? Any house takes 5,000 hours. I mean, that's just what it is.
You just have to do it all by yourself.
And yeah, that was the harsh part. But you know what? I mean, it's something I've always enjoyed. So, I mean, I still work on it. It's fun. So, but yeah, you guys, there's not a whole lot more to see. But check out Jenna's room. She cleaned it up for you, and we can look around outside. I wouldn't mind showing you some of my pared down systems.
What are you doing?
Which I don't know how we could all look at it, but we can try.
What have you done, Phil? Dave.
So, like, this is my power center right here. So it's maybe looks a little more chaotic than our neat and tidy ones, but I mean, it's basic. So I got this inverter quite a while ago, but it's a very nice trace inverter, and I got it used. And I've got 6 batteries, and I have 300 watts of panels that are old panels from, that's another thing, like buying used stuff. Craigslist now is awesome for this kind of stuff. You can find all, you know, and so it's like super basic. There's a charge controller, and that's like it. Batteries, charge controller, inverter, panels, breaker boxes. You know,
you have a vent for your battery?
And nope, I don't. And I can smell them sometimes. So I should. But anyway, you know, this is like just homemade, but it's got all the basics, and it's got AC, it's got DC. I run the internet off it. It's you know, it looks a little bizarro, but the price was for sure right on this thing. See, my gray water, of course, is a little tanky. And I want to.
How many amp hours do you have?
Well, I have 6 batteries, and each battery is 125 amp hours. And these are like the small batteries, not the L16s. These are like the cheapest batteries you can get. Like golf cart batteries is what they are. So just point being that, you know, we've always lived here with a 300-watt array with 6 batteries. You know, we regularly put a 1,600-watt array on our client builds. And that's like a basic. And so, of course, we live in the Sun Belt, you know, or whatever. But point is, and I mean, it was, you know, I remember like when I got my first light bulb, I was like, fuck, this is an $800 light bulb, you know, with the panels and the batteries, you know, $800, and you know, that wasn't that much for panels and batteries. I mean, it still isn't very much for panels and batteries, and that's when panels were more expensive. So anyway, just more homemade. Is there a man here?
No.
All right. And that's the smell of my gray water. So here is another example of a basic WOM. And that is this cover should be on here. I just took it off because I was messing with it. That is a pump and a filter and a pressure tank. That is my water system and a on-demand hot water. So just this one.
Holy shit. You have a 4
Yeah, I just need to use it.
You never showered either?
But, yeah, it does. So I keep my youthful glow. But, so that's another thing, just kind of, that's all about money. All these simple systems are just about what you can afford. And you feel free to check out Jenna's room. It's probably smoldering hot up there. Yeah. But
Hey Phil,
that's why you have ventilation.
do you think a room just like your